In February of 2024, I saw a post on Twitter where people were looking for voice actors to cast the characters in the very visual novel called Echo. Essentially, making a full VN dub, which sounded fun. I tested the mic I had on my headset at the time, but I quickly realized that it sucked. it just sucked. So I ordered a new mic. Nothing too expensive, but still relatively good quality. I got a so called Snowball Blue mic. I recorded and submitted the for the characters I was interested in. But unfortunately, I didn't get any roles. But they were still kind enough to give me some pointers and even gave me some tips on other people doing like the same thing, but for different VNs. That really got me interested in the whole voice acting thing, and I'm very grateful for the tips and pointers I got from them. Even if as I said, I didn't get any roles. Now, fast forward to me on sport break, which is like spring break but for February here in Sweden, where I voiced and uploaded my first video on Twitter, a voice impression of Cassius from Adestra, followed by Nefero the next day. Um, I used an audio recording website called Online Voice Recorder. Good for checking your voice, but um, pretty bad at recording anything big, especially if you have bad internet connection. I would then put the audio files in Discord, of all places, by sending them to a bot. God, I hope nobody really heard them. I would then put them in another website called Soundtrap, where I would do edits on the audio. Essentially, like, do certain cuts, stitching them together, things like that, and nothing extraordinary. I will then gather images from the visual novel and then edit them in Filmora with a watermark. At first, I just uploaded them on Twitter and on some Discord servers, nothing else. But I quickly found out that this is fun. Voicing, editing, and such, it, it made me feel pretty happy, you know. So I decided to make a list of characters I wanted to try and do a voice impression of. For that week, every morning, I went into a closet and recorded the voices. They were pretty bad at first. I mean, not only was I new, never having done this before, but I didn't exactly listen to the full audio either. Which I do now. I do now. Even if I don't like to listen to my own voice that much, I have gotten used to it and I can do it. But it was fun, and seeing how happy it made not only some of the fans of the visual novels, but even some of the creators of said visual novels, I just kept going. After the week was over and break was, over, I needed to go back to school, I eventually decided to upload them all to YouTube. It took a little while, like an hour or two, because there were a good few, and I wanted to give credit to all the visual novel creators, you know, in a proper way, if I remember correctly. At first, I uploaded 2 times a week, Monday and Saturday. I would record, edit, and upload on the same day. Were they any good? No. Was it fun? Hell yeah. But after a while, it did kind of tire me, so I switched to uploading 1 day out a week, which was the weekends. After a while, I got a DM from someone, and I think I accidentally confused Will and I also got a little confused. Essentially, it was a big misunderstanding. What Will meant was record and voice act visual novels and such, and what I thought was that I would voice act a character or something like that. So, yeah. So, at first I didn't understand what they meant. So, I rejected them. But after thinking about it, I thought about it and thought I really wanted to try visual novel readings, so I wrote to Will. And I I said, "Hey, what if we record visual novel readings and upload them?" And Will was like, "That's kind of what I was suggesting in Lamau." And I'm like, "Oh." and then and then we recorded some videos on their channel, and it started with a read of Liar. Two idiots ruined the entire nation of Liar. After a good while, Will would then recommend me Caden Live, video editing software, that had like no watermark and was free. And I was I was ecstatic. I didn't fully understand at first how to use it, but oh god, I'm so happy it exists. I also became kind of, sometimes still is, very meticulous about my audio and video to the point where I wouldn't let myself have any breaks, which would turn to me have a little burnout from time to time, and eventually I needed a break. And thus, I asked Will if they wanted to record a VN reading with me. A VN called I am now the school delinquent's lover, but I want out. Very cute VN, by the way. You should totally check it out if you haven't already. The first recording, I recorded it on OBS, but somehow I accidentally pressed stream instead of recording. And guess what? It streamed to nowhere because it was connected. It wasn't connected to anything. It wasn't connected to any account at all. So it just streamed to nowhere. Well, we didn't give up, and thankfully, Will was very, very patient with me. We did 3 recordings on the VN, which I edited and scheduled to upload the weekend on the weekend of the 3 weeks. This was also during summer break, where I did wanted to take a break from YouTube and essentially everything. And afterwards, I felt great, and I felt ready to record some more afterwards. Take breaks. Just take breaks, even from hobbies. When even hobbies feel like chores, they become an obligation and not a pleasure. After another good while, I decided I would switch my mic to Knox X500 and the audio recording to Audacity, or the audio recording software, that is. Both work great for me. Audacity isn't a website that would fuck up my audio when there is a slight hiccup in the internet connection, and the Knox mic is just simply divine. Now, how do I make videos these days? Well, first I choose a VN and the characters. Usually like characters that I'm not only interested in, but also think, yeah, I can pull this off. I then often would ask around for people's opinion on how they would imagine the characters to sound like. Sometimes even the visual novel creator would come in and tell us how they imagined what the characters would sound like, which would, give me lots of inspiration, lots of things to work on. It's not always that it ends up being, it's not always that I end up actually using what I am given, but I am still very grateful nonetheless. And then I would often try and test record, just so test the water. Check if I feel like what I am presenting is how me and how others would imagine the characters would sound like. I will now, after doing lots of recordings, I would put them in a certain named file. After all that, or simultaneously nowadays, I would then add them to Soundtrap, where I would edit the audio by cutting and sometimes add certain filters, such as a certain echo or something like that, to either sound more like a robot or a demon. It is not often I use it, and when I do, I try to make sure it is known. I don't want to hide anything of how I make these videos. After I am done with that, I would export the voices, sounds, and music separately. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that sometimes I would in Soundtrap I would add certain sounds to make it more immersive, and then music to just simply, I don't know, it to me it gives a certain nice feel to it. Of course, it is not their official theme or anything. It's just I mixed something that I think would fit them well. And then I would gather things for the visual aspect on the video, like scenes of the characters are in, certain videos, and such. Then I would put everything on Kdenlive, edit them, adjust the sound, and then upload. This process nowadays can take me up to a few days, maybe even a week if I'm busy with other stuff. And that's how I started to do voice impressions on YouTube, along with some visual novel readings with Will. I try to keep a consistent uploading schedule, one video per week, but sometimes I get overwhelmed and it takes longer. And I still don't know how to do proper intros or outros. And I still don't know either if these are voice impressions or voice attempts. But either way, I'm having fun with this, and I don't plan on stopping, at least for a little while. A little dream I have is to one day voice at least one or a few characters, to play around with my voice and just have fun with this. Is it weird? Yes. It's weird, it's dumb, it's god awful at times. But it's fun, and to me, that's a good enough reason to keep going. Now, this doesn't speak for everyone, but to me personally, daring to be a little cringe, or a lot of cringe, felt so liberating. It feels liberating, I should say. And I couldn't be happier. And it's weird how it's been a year already. Of course, I still have my insecurities when it comes to video making, voices, all of those stuff. But I've also learned that it's okay to feel a little insecure and nervous about things like this. As long as you don't let them control you and stop you from pursuing your dreams or doing what you love. It's okay to be afraid, but know that it doesn't have to be impossible. And believe me, I know the feeling very well. We all start somewhere. It's the first step that's usually the most scary part, or at least a little bit. But also in my experience, it can be exciting as well. I don't really know how to end this video, except thank you so much for a year of YouTube. Here's to one more. And thank you so much for watching. And I hope you have a lovely night or day. See ya!